Elon Musk, a name synonymous with innovation, ambition, and, increasingly, controversy. The billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, a self-proclaimed free speech absolutist, has never shied away from expressing his often provocative views. But recently, Musk's online pronouncements have taken a darker turn, targeting individuals in a way that has sent shockwaves through the American government, his weapon of choice, the very platform he now owns, X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk set his sights on a new kind of target federal employees. These weren't politicians or high-ranking officials, but individuals working in various capacities within the vast machinery of the US government. Their offense? Simply doing their jobs, often in fields related to climate change and environmental policy, areas where Musk has publicly expressed skepticism. These weren't just abstract policy debates. Musk's tweets, often laced with sarcasm and derision, had real-world consequences for the individuals involved. Their names and faces, once anonymous, were suddenly thrust into the unforgiving glare of the internet spotlight, with all its attendant trolls, conspiracy theorists, and online harassers. What started as digital barbs quickly escalated into something far more sinister. For the federal employees caught in Musk's crosshairs, the experience was nothing short of terrifying. What started as a normal day at work quickly spiraled into a nightmare as their phones buzzed incessantly with notifications. Death threats, hateful messages, and personal attacks flooded their inboxes and social media accounts. Their online profiles, once mundane records of their professional lives, were dissected and weaponized by anonymous assailants. One targeted employee, a climate scientist working for the Environmental Protection Agency, was forced to flee her home after her address was posted online. Another, a policy analyst at the Department of Energy, received death threats against her children. These weren't just abstract online threats, they were real-world consequences, with the potential for real-world violence. The message was clear: speak out against Musk, and you do so at your own peril. The emotional toll on the targeted individuals was immeasurable. Many reported feeling anxious, depressed, and afraid to even leave their homes. Some were forced to take leave from their jobs, their careers put on hold as they dealt with the fallout from Musk's online attacks. The experience was a stark reminder of the dark side of online fame, where even the most innocuous statements can have devastating consequences. The impact of Musk's actions extended far beyond the individuals he targeted. Across the federal government, a palpable sense of fear and unease settled in. Employees, once accustomed to the relative anonymity of government service, now worried that they too could become the next target of Musk's online wrath. The result was a chilling effect on free speech, with many federal workers hesitant to speak out on even the most uncontroversial topics for fear of attracting unwanted attention. This fear was particularly acute among those working on issues related to climate change and environmental policy, areas where Musk had made his skepticism clear. Scientists and researchers, once eager to share their findings with the public, now hesitated, fearing that their work could be misconstrued or deliberately misrepresented. The result was a stifling of scientific discourse, with potentially dire consequences for the fight against climate change. The fear wasn't limited to those working on climate change. Across the federal government, employees reported feeling pressured to self-censor, avoiding any online activity that could be perceived as critical of Musk or his companies. The result was a culture of fear and intimidation, where loyalty to Musk seemed to be valued above all else, even within the supposedly impartial walls of the federal government. Section 5, the line between free speech and harassment. Musk, for his part, defended his actions as protected free speech. He argued that, as a private citizen, he was entitled to his opinions, and that his online pronouncements was simply an expression of those opinions. He dismissed concerns about online harassment, arguing that his critics were overly sensitive and that the solution was for them to simply log off. This argument, however, ignored the power dynamics at play. Musk wasn't just any private citizen. He was one of the most powerful and influential figures in the world, with a massive online platform at his disposal. His words carried weight, and his tweets had the power to incite real-world harm. To claim that his actions were simply free speech was to ignore the very real consequences of those actions. The line between free speech and harassment, once clear, had become dangerously blurred. The debate over Musk's actions highlighted a fundamental tension in the digital age: the balance between free speech and the need to protect individuals from online harm. On the one hand, there was a legitimate interest in ensuring that individuals could express themselves freely online without fear of censorship. On the other hand, there was a growing recognition that online harassment was a serious problem with real-world consequences. Section 6. Amplified anger, social media's role. Musk's targeting of federal employees also raised questions about the role of social media companies in facilitating and amplifying online harassment. Twitter, like other social media platforms, had long struggled to combat harassment and abuse on its platform. Critics argued that the company's algorithms, designed to promote engagement and keep users scrolling, often had the unintended consequence of amplifying hateful content and rewarding outrage. The problem was further compounded by the anonymous nature of many online accounts. Hidden behind fake profiles and avatars, harassers felt emboldened to engage in behavior that they would never dream of offline. The result was a toxic online environment where individuals felt free to attack and abuse others with impunity, knowing that they were unlikely to face any real-world consequences. Social media companies, faced with mounting pressure to address online harassment, implemented a variety of measures, including content moderation policies and reporting mechanisms. However, these efforts were often criticized as being too little, too late. Critics argued that social media companies needed to do more to address the root causes of online harassment, including redesigning their platforms to discourage abuse and holding harassers accountable for their actions. Section 7. Eroding trust. Democracy at risk. Beyond the immediate impact on the individuals involved, Musk's actions had broader implications for American democracy. By publicly attacking and discrediting government employees, Musk contributed to a growing climate of distrust in government institutions. This erosion of trust, already at alarming levels, made it increasingly difficult for the government to function effectively and address pressing challenges. The targeting of federal employees also had a chilling effect on public service. Why would anyone want to work for the government, knowing that they could become the target of online harassment simply for doing their job? This was particularly concerning given the importance of attracting and retaining talented individuals to public service, especially in critical fields like science, technology, and policy making. Musk's actions were part of a larger trend of wealthy and powerful individuals using their platforms to undermine democratic norms and institutions. By sowing distrust in government, these individuals created a vacuum that they could then fill with their own agendas, often at odds with the public interest. The result was a weakening of democratic institutions and a rise in polarization and extremism. Section 8. A pattern of bullying, Musk's history of targeting. This, unfortunately, was not an isolated incident. Musk had a history of using his online platform to target critics and silence dissent. In 2018, he famously attacked a British cave diver who had criticized Musk's involvement in the rescue of a Thai soccer team trapped in a flooded cave. Musk accused the diver of being a pedo guy, a baseless and defamatory claim that he later apologized for after being sued for defamation. The incident highlighted Musk's willingness to use his platform to bully and intimidate those who dared to criticize him. Musk's behavior followed a familiar pattern. He would identify a target, often someone who had publicly criticized him or his companies, and then use his massive online platform to launch a personal attack. These attacks were rarely grounded in fact or logic. They were often ad hominem attacks designed to discredit the target and silence their criticism. The goal was not to engage in reasoned debate. It was to bully and intimidate into silence. This pattern of behavior raised serious concerns about Musk's fitness to lead a company like Twitter, which had a responsibility to protect its users from harassment and abuse. Critics argued that Musk's history of online bullying made him unfit to oversee a platform that was often used for precisely those purposes. They called on Musk to step down as CEO of Twitter, arguing that his continued leadership posed a threat to the platform and its users. Section 9. A call for action protecting public servants. The targeting of federal employees by Elon Musk highlighted the urgent need for a multifaceted response to address the growing problem of